Am I the a-hole for trying to take back $80,000 of the $160,000 my spouse spent behind my back? My husband spent $160,000 investing in baseball cards without telling me. During this same time, he would get mad at me for spending money on meal plans or salon services. I would get yelled at for my disrespectful spending and my financial goals not aligning with his, so he'd say. He did most of this spending on his personal credit card that he paid for with our joint account. For a long time, I didn't have access to our online banking, so I didn't see the amounts he was paying in his credit card. Whenever I would question a $2 or a $4,000 payment, he would have some excuse and usually would say it was on the family or grocery store. He would refuse to show me his statements. One day driving to lunch, he mentioned how my friends owed him for the concert tickets that I had used his card to buy. This was after 2 months ago when he promised he had a $2,000 balance and was going to pay it off and stop using it. So I asked, I thought it was going to be paid off a couple of months ago. That was all it took. He launched into me about how I ruin everything, why we can't just enjoy the day, this is why my relationships never work out, on, and dropped me back off at our house and left. It was this outburst that made me realize there was more going on. After lots of back and forth and digging, and finally getting him to give me access to his credit card statements, I added up $160,000 in 3 years that he'd spent. I already realized the financial abuse that has taken place on so many levels, and there is so much I'm not including. During all of this, my husband met with a divorce lawyer, then begged me for another chance. This was about a year ago. We are still together, but as you can imagine, the financial issues are only one of many. At the time I realized what he had spent and that I was so ill prepared for divorce, I started transferring money from our joint account to my personal account every month. My goal over time is to take my half back, $80K, and invest it how I want to. He was of course mad, but I basically said, oh well. He should have considered me when he spent it, and I was only correcting a wrong. Recently, he made sure the money wasn't in the account when my transfer was scheduled. He did this 2 months in a row and said I could no longer do this. I waited for the money to be there and did the transfer anyway. He went nuts, telling me that I'm a rat, that he'd sell the house, dissolve our business, etc. He said that it's wrong for me to go tit for tat and that I should let it go. The money is just sitting in my account and I have not spent any of it. Am I the a-hole for trying to take back my half over time? I wouldn't go as far as saying that OP is the a-hole in this situation, but if there is any silver lining to this story, it's that at least these baseball cards are a tangible asset that can be sold, at least you would hope, for what he paid for them. For me, the biggest problem is more just the lying and the general financial abuse that was happening throughout this story, but I definitely think they should come to some kind of arrangement where they can offload these cards and get that money back into their savings account. At least that way, if they do decide to separate, dividing the assets is going to be a lot easier. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents and my pregnant sister that I will not baby-proof my area of the house and saying that I will be locking them out instead? My parents live in the in-law suite of my house. They pay rent to help me cover the mortgage, but the house is completely mine. Their rent is $600 a month. That includes all utilities, including internet and streaming services. My older sister is pregnant again, and she needs a place to stay as her baby daddy bailed out and moved back to Romania without her. My parents agreed to let her stay with them. They didn't ask me, but like I said, they pay rent and can do as they wish within their living area. My parents have full run of my house except for my bedroom and my office. My dad likes to putter in the garage and plays with my dog. My mum likes to bake in my kitchen and work in the garden. The basement has a kitchen, but it's small, and mine is just better all around. They want me to baby-proof my levels of the house. I asked why I would need to do this, as the kids would be 100% not in my area. My mum said that it would not be fair to keep the kids cooped up in the basement all day. I said that there was a huge yard and sunroom for them to spend time in if they really wanted. My sister said she couldn't spend all her time cramped up like that with 3 kids. I asked when she found out she was having twins, and she shut up. I dragged it out of them that she was planning on watching her friend's toddler for money. I said that I did not have insurance for her to run a business out of my house. She said that it was all under the table and that she needed money. This was when I said I would be taking the keys to my area back from my parents, and I was also going to change the locks. I said that I agreed to let my parents live with me to help them out. They only agreed to let her move in because she's irresponsible and can't manage her own life. I never agreed to let her use my house as a day home. I know that I do not want 3 kids here along with 4 adults. Well, 3 adults and my pregnant sister. I thought this, but I didn't say it out loud. My mum is mad that that I'm going to lock them out of my area, but my dad understands. The thing is, I would let them keep a key, but my mum would get it from him and she would give it to my sister. I said that I would leave the garage lock the same and that was good enough for him. My mum and sister are upset and giving me the silent treatment. My mum got my dad to ask me if they paid for the insurance if my sister could watch her friend's kid. I agreed, but I did say that they should get my sister to pay for it. So, am I the a-hole? I think the consensus will be pretty consistent, but there is no way that the OP could be considered the a-hole in this situation. It's pretty obvious that the sister and the parents are just trying to take advantage of OP's goodwill, and honestly, it just seems like one of those situations where if OP gives an inch, they're gonna take a mile. Personally, there's no way I'd be letting her run this little daycare business to look after her friend's kid, but that's just me. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife to get over my daughter's short hair? I, a 40-year-old male, and my wife, a 42-year-old female, have been married for 5 years. I have a 14-year-old daughter from a previous relationship. Her mother wanted nothing to do with her when she was born. When I met my wife, she was worried about being a bad stepmother to my daughter. They became close and they do a spa day every Mother's Day. My daughter has very long hair down to her shoulders. She hates putting it up in ponytails and she complains about the length of time it takes to blow dry. She's a big tomboy and one of her friends recommended that she gets a pixie cut. I booked her an appointment to get the cut she wanted and she was very happy. She's been in such a great mood and loves having the short hair. When I brought her home to see my wife dropped what she was doing and looked like she was about to faint. She asked why I allowed my daughter to cut all of her hair off. I told her that this is the cut my daughter wanted, and my wife got furious and started telling me how I've ruined my daughter's image. I shot back at her to get over the haircut as it made my daughter happy. After all I wanted was for my daughter to be happy. My wife continued to complain about the haircut even around my daughter, and I had to tell her multiple times to drop it. My daughter has been very depressed and it's worrying me. I've been giving my wife the cold shoulder and she's been very cold to both me and my daughter. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife to get over my daughter's short hair? Of course he's not the a-hole. All he's doing is making his daughter happy. Just because she's cut her hair like this once doesn't mean she's going to want to do it in the future, but if she chooses to, who cares? Just because her hair doesn't fit the ideal standard that you set for her hair, that's fine. Everybody's different and that's okay. Honestly, if anything, it's a good thing that the OP has his daughter's best interests at heart. Anyway guys, that's going to be that. If you did enjoy this new shorter format, make sure to let me know in the comments. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you guys when I see you. Hopefully it's soon. Bye.